Loneliness lived in a vicious cycle in my life. I'd isolate to be productive. I'm an introvert, and being alone made me more efficient. But the more I achieved, the more I leaned into this hyper-independent girl boss mode. And then the self-consciousness would hit. I'd open up my phone to see everyone doing dinner parties, movie nights, weekend trips, and suddenly my quiet little life felt like I was doing adulthood wrong. So I'd overcorrect. I'd fill up my social calendar, try to be fun, and try to be everywhere. And then I would crash. Emotionally drained, behind on my goals, I was right back to where I started. By the end of residency, I was tired of running towards and then from my own company. I wanted to stop swinging between these extremes of isolation and burnout. And that's how I decided to do something that pushed me way out of my comfort zone. I went to a new country alone to figure out how to be alone without feeling lonely. I ate a nutritious breakfast that morning and embarked on a day trip to Lahemaa National Park. Our first stop was the Viru Bog. We climbed to the top of the observation tower, and our tour guide apologized for the poor weather, which caused the place to be deserted. But I just stared in awe. When was the last time I felt such silence? It was so heavy. It was not just in my ears, but I could feel it in my mind. As I reflected on loneliness, what I noticed was how loud my brain was when I felt lonely. There would be this constant negative inner dialogue. Why are you by yourself? Do you not have friends? But when I was standing here in this bog alone, my brain was so silent. I felt peaceful. I realized I can't always be in control of being alone. That's just part of life. But what I can control is whether I turn this into noisy loneliness. I ended up really enjoying my adventure in Lahemaa National Park, despite the freezing temperatures. While on the medical hustle for the past 11 years, I had forgotten about the wisdom and self-reflection you can ascertain in the quiet peace of nature. After our day-long tour, I was absolutely ravenous, and I was craving my new favorite Estonian dessert, kama. So I hunted down an Estonian cuisine restaurant in Old Town and eagerly asked for a table for one. I enjoyed the Christmas ambiance. They even had this floating Christmas tree. My meal was delicious and the kama was exceptional. It wasn't until I asked for the check when I realized not once did I feel self-conscious about eating a solo meal at a restaurant. Yes, with repetition, it was getting a lot better, but I would have this initial twinge of uneasiness when I first asked for a table for one. And I realized it was because I was so excited about eating this dessert. It was kind of hard to find. Kama, although an Estonian traditional dessert, is not served in a lot of places. So I came to this restaurant with a mission. And this brings me to my next lesson. Focus on the task in front of you, instead of how it might appear to other people. An example would be grocery shopping, right? This is a very common activity, and we often do it by ourselves. Yet we don't see this as something weird, and that's because everyone has a goal going into that grocery store. So why do we immediately forget this when we do things like go to the movies, or go to a museum, go out to dinner by ourselves? A goal can also be just going and enjoying your favorite meal in a beautiful restaurant. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that. And that's just something we have to keep reminding ourselves of. The next morning, I was on a mission to cross something off of my to-do list. Go to a sauna and have a dip in the Baltic Sea. So I set off early in the morning to have my solitude sauna session. And actually, real talk, Estonian and Finnish sauna culture is actually a social experience. So I am not doing this the traditional way. But you know what? I'm a brown girl in Northeast Europe. So I think I'll be forgiven if I don't do everything correctly. The sauna was relaxing and peaceful. I began to reflect again on loneliness, and my mind went to my husband's recent deployment and my new solo life. The reality was, doing things on my own wasn't so bad. I had my job to keep me busy and YouTube, and obviously I did miss the companionship of my husband and seeing him every day and debriefing with him. But even when he is here, there are a lot of activities I like to do on my own naturally. But now that I had gotten used to his absence, it wasn't so bad. But what did bother me was when I told other people about my situation. Their eyes would immediately fill up with pity. I would say, "Poor you, you're all alone. You're so strong for going through this. And tell me how you're really doing." I mean, I don't want to be ungrateful. I am so blessed to have people there looking out for me. But what it also did was remind me that there's something wrong with my life, that being alone is wrong. And it sometimes just bummed me out on a day where I otherwise felt fine. And this brings us to the third lesson. Sometimes being alone is not what bothers us. It's the story that other people project onto it that hurts us. And why the heck does being alone have to have such a stigma? Solitude has been a key part of society for thousands of years, starting first with religion. Extended silent meditation periods are a core practice in Buddhism. Furthermore, Hindu philosophy has something called mauna, which is a discipline of silence linked to inner quiet and meditation. Solitude has also taken modern society by storm. Modern silent retreats have exploded beyond religious people only. Many participants do them for stress relief, grief, burnout, tech overload, and mental resets. There are also cultures where solitude is not seen as weird. Finnish cultural guides have noted that pauses in conversation are natural and don't need filling. Japan has recognized Hitori-sama, which translates into party of one. For example, restaurants will offer single-person counters and small tables, and karaoke centers will even have a single-person booth. Reflecting on all this cultural and religious nuances made me feel less alone about my relationship with loneliness. And now for the long-awaited finale, the Baltic Sea dip. I hope you got that, because I'm not doing that again. So I hope that caught on camera. Oh my god. For the remainder of the day, I went on a historical bike tour in Tallinn, after which I could not feel my fingers or toes. Otherwise, it was a very excellent tour. I learned a lot. And then it started to snow, which was my cue to go home. And I didn't just lay in bed for the rest of the evening. I actually had my eye on this sea buckthorn drink in the bar lobby, so I went down to try it. And while I was there, I saw that they had a pavlova on the menu. Also, is this what they call a girl dinner? Because if so, that's pretty awesome. And this brings me to my final lesson of my trip. And this final lesson only happens after you've meditated on the first 3 lessons. And that is, it is absolutely empowering and satisfying to be able to do the things you want in life without fear of judgment or shame for doing it by yourself. So for the remainder of the evening, I went back to my hotel room, watched the snow fall outside as I snuggled up in my bed, and I watched a Christmas movie and had the best night's rest. And now, sad part, the end. I got all packed and I checked in for my flight. But there was one thing left that I had to do. So this hotel that I'm staying at was heavily advertising their indoor fitness track. So of course I had to check it out. But It turns out it's just the stairwell that was converted into a fitness track. They have all these exercise regimens you could do for each flight of stair. And this is a 10-story building. Honestly, I think this is a great idea. Because yes, if you do walk 10 flights of stairs and do various bodyweight exercises in the interim, then no doubt you are going to get fit and you are going to get a workout in. But it got me thinking, technically, almost every building in the world now has this indoor fitness track. For the year 2026, there will be no more excuses to not go to the gym. Okay, Merry Christmas everyone, and Happy New Year. Radish out. So if you spent a lot of your 20s stuck in this cycle of loneliness, this is what I've realized from my solo trip. Loneliness is often fueled from the outside, by the stories we tell ourselves about being alone, the pity or assumptions that other people project onto us, and the self-consciousness that pulls us out of the moment. These are the 4 meditations that help me to break that cycle. First, when I'm lonely, my mind is loud. When I'm alone, it can be quiet, especially when you're in nature. Number 2, focus on the experience in front of you, not how it looks to other people. Number 3, sometimes the hardest part isn't being alone. It's carrying the story that other people attach to it. And number 4, doing what you want when you want without needing company isn't sad. It's freedom and it's empowering. And notice how I said these 4 things are meditations, which means it's something you have to give active thought to. And it's not something that'll happen overnight. It can take weeks, months, and it's something that I am still working on. So if you liked that video, please hit the like button, leave me a comment. And if you're also in this period of loneliness and burnout, then follow me for more videos, shorts, and posts. And if you want more, I do have a weekly newsletter on meditations on health and wellness that I put out every week. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye!